Oh, wow.
Yeah, they say can't hear anything. All right, go on, Ginka.
Okay. Wow. Can they hear now?
Can you all hear now? Can you say something if you can hear now?
Yes, please.
Hello, can you just let us know if you can hear us now? You can go ahead. I'm sure they will.
Okay.
We are not getting any reply yet.
Any reply? Okay. So I was saying that mental health is a state of well-being. How you're able to adapt, how you're able to cope with life, with the stresses of life. Your coping skills, adaptability, how you're able to adapt your psychological well-being, your social well-being. It's not about social media, your social well-being, your your support system. That's very, very important. At least a lot of my patients, that's one of the things we ask. Who is your support system? Who are your support systems? Sometimes it doesn't have to be family. So all that contributes to mental health. That's mental health on its own, not mental health illness. There's a difference, okay? So everyone has a mental health. Now, on the spectrum, what is your mental health? How you able to cope? What is your social well-being, your psychological, physique? All that has to do with mental health. So that's mental health,
all right,
not
thank
mental
you.
illness.
All right, yeah, they said yes, we can. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you so much for that feedback. So we all have mental health. It's just that we have different mental issues.
Right.
Yes. So I think that's a safe one to use. We have different mental issues.
Yeah.
Some people can be, for some people it's stress. It's the stress of work. Some people it's the stress of children. For some people it's the financial stress. So let's actually talk about the different types of mental health issues that are there. Like, what are the types of mental health diseases or sicknesses or issues?
Illness. Oh gosh, millions, thousands. Unfortunately, to say it like that, the last time we was here, we talked about narcissism. We talked about I was on narcissism. We talked about, PTSD is there. I was going to go a little bit into the PTSD. People who are just manic, bipolar. Lots of people schizophrenic. Lots of people are bipolar. Walking on the street, undiagnosed. So there are plenty. There are plenty of, but it's so funny how some people have, and it's dual. It will be dual diagnosis for some people. So, and especially bipolar is all.
So there's usually like a primary diagnosis and then comorbidity.
Comorbidity, yeah. We'll call it that.
That's secondary diagnosis.
We'll call it dual now. Especially when the substance abuse is involved. We talk about substance abuse, like whenever there's substance abuse involved, and that means like drinking, being alcoholic. And then there's other mental illness on the side of it as well. So that's dual. And there are people like the narcissistic, the differential disease for that, or the differential illness for that would be bipolar. Bipolar happens to be differential disease or illness for a lot of disorders out there, but quite there's a lot. Like you said, schizoaffective, schizophrenic. Quite a lot.
Okay, so I think the one that is most common and I think is peculiar to a lot of women is the anxiety disorder. There's anxiousness of what to eat, what to wear, how to take care of the children, how to provide for the family. Is that a mental health issue?
I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, because when I was trying to research this, I read a lot of stories about women that just feel like just walking away from their home because they are mentally stressed. And it's not as if it's anything major. It's just like anxiety disorder. Like they are anxious. They don't really know what to do tomorrow. They don't know what tomorrow will bring, and so they are worried. So is being worried a sign of mental illness?
Of course, when you're worried, that leads to a lot of anxiousness, anxiety. I wouldn't particularly say it's more prevalent in women. I think. There may be more depression, if you will. But when it comes to anxiety, I think everybody goes through anxiety. Anxiousness and anxiety. Again, it falls back to your mental health, how you able to cope. What are your coping skills? So the ones who wants to just pack up and leave the world and just suicide and just leave everybody, they've gotten to the end and they
Of what they
just
can take.
of what they can take, and there's no coping skills for them anymore. So, and that's why if we have to continue to teach, and we have to continue to advocate, and we have to continue to tell people coping skills, coping skills, coping skills, coping skills. Very, very important. You know what? How do you deal with this? How do you handle this when you've gotten to the point where you can't anymore? You know what else? Is it spiritual? Is it psychological? What do you fall back on? You know, and then support system. I said support system earlier. Support system is very, very important. You can't be an island. I don't care who you are, what you are. I tell people all the time, if you are an island, then why did you go to school? Then, you know, because you went to school, you have professors, you have study group. You're not an island, obviously, you know. And then again, some people will say, well, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. No one is, not actually, technically speaking, I learned that from my professor, like I think long time ago in undergrad. No one is on a spectrum. No one is 100% introvert. No one is 100% extrovert. No. And you know, and I think I've said this several times, and I say it all the time, it's like saying abnormal to normal. You know what I mean? So if you say, oh, I'm an introvert, and that's why I don't really talk to people, I don't really have friends. So there you go, you don't have support system.
Yeah.
You can't be an introvert 100% because you still talk to people. You
yeah.
still work.
You still work.
An introvert, you are more of a sociopath. You don't really talk to anybody. You just, you go out, you put your hand in your pocket, and you drop your head, and you just walk in, maybe looking for who to devour, and then you come back in your, you know, like those movies, and you come back in your house, in your basement, and you lock the door. Okay, that's 100% introvert. That is 100%. But you go to work, you have kids, you're married, you're not an introvert. You are reserved. You are reserved. You're more reserved. You're quiet. You know, and then of course I say I'm extrovert, but I'm introvert as well because I don't talk all the time. You know, and that gives me that spectrum right there. That just gives you that leeway. The times that I don't talk. So you know, so we have to understand some of the things before we use all those terminology. Before we use them, we need to understand them. But the most important thing these days is coping skills, and support system. We definitely cannot look for support system in social media.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Social media is so fake. I'm sorry to say it. It's so fake these days. You know. So
true. All right, thank you so much for that, Yinka. So I like us to talk about this postpartum stress or postpartum depression, because a lot of women go through it after having a child. I think I've read stories of women wanting to strangle their newborn baby because they don't know how to cope, because they don't want to, but they just cannot control it. Like you said, their coping mechanism at that time is getting to the tail end. So I'd just like us to educate a little people out there that postpartum depression is not to be overlooked, is not to be trivialized. It is actually a sickness.
It is. It is. It's an illness. It's an illness. And it's so funny when you said earlier, one husband or husbands will say, but my mother had 8 children. You only have one. What is it? But don't forget, back then, everybody had different strength. I was still telling someone today, when I was counseling someone today on the phone, we all have different processing terms and we all handle things differently. My strength might be your weakness. And I know that's generalized and I know that's easier said than done, but we honestly don't understand that my strength is your weakness and your weakness is my strength. I don't think we really understand that. So let's talk about postpartum depression. And to be honest, after I had my first daughter, not the second one, so I only have 2. So, but after I had my first daughter, actually, I experienced it a little bit, and I quickly knew that I experienced it, or I was experiencing it. I mean, it was our first child, and there was a lot surrounding. There was a lot of stressor factors that were surrounding it, that birth, you know. And I remember. Some people would say, no, you didn't go, that's not postpartum depression, but for me it is. You know, like I said, everyone is not 100% on the spectrum. It can just, you can be just 5%, you know. So, and I remember the baby coming home. Of course, I had like 3 mommies with me, and see how lucky and special I am. And I remember, you know, my spiritual mom at that time, you can come and sleep with your daughter. She's your baby, and I would look at her like, yeah. Wow. I was so under a lot of stress, and I would say, no. And I would look at her like that, say, no, I don't know, no. And sometimes I would just cry for no reason.
Yeah,
So yeah, women go through, and I can now imagine my husband saying, "My mother has 5 children," but no, fortunately, and unfortunately for me, he understood. He understood what was going on. But I mean, I literally experienced that for 2 weeks, where. And then on top of that, I also think another thing that I probably was doing was I was taking advantage of all the mummies that were there, and I'm like, when they all leave, I'm on my own. That went through my mind as well. But to be honest, I experienced some stress to where I didn't, just to be laying down, and I'm like, and then maybe the fact that it's your first child, like, oh wow, I have a baby. I gave birth to a baby. Like, are you serious? That's my baby, a human being, and I would just say, no, I didn't want to. So yeah, lots of women, they go through it. And like you said, it gets to the extreme for some people. We have
that story of people running away and leaving their children. And they say they ran mad after having a child.
And of course, our culture, what do we say?
Yes,
oh, it's spiritual. Oh, something is somewhere.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not. We have chemical imbalance. I can't sit here, DSM-5 cannot sit here and tell you this is what causes mental illness. We haven't gotten to that point, and that's why we don't have no cure. When you know the cause of something, then you can have a cure for it. You can have the end. That's why we don't have a cure for mental illness. So some women, of course, we've heard stories even here in America, where a mother, literally, I mean, I don't want to mention her name, but that's a long time. I love following her story. She's still at the state hospital, actually, where she drowned all her babies, 5 of them.
Wow.
And she was a registered nurse, to be precise, but she's had depression since she was in college. And her husband kind of sort of knew. So people were blaming her husband. So I don't know. It was just a sad story. But she's not the only one. There are plenty of people. There are plenty of women who.
And as Nigerians, if we're going to speak as Nigerians, most of the time we just chalk it up and say, "Let's pray for her. Let's take her to the church. Let's call the pastor." Meanwhile, they should have actually been placed on medication. Talk therapy.
There's nothing wrong, talking to someone. And I understand that in our society, or, and I don't mean just have a group of friends and talk to them, or group of friends from church and talk to them, and then before you know it, your story is out there. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, a licensed therapist. Talk to someone if you're experiencing that, because not everyone cannot experience what you are going through. So the best thing for you to do is to talk to someone when you start realizing that, okay, I mean, it comes as intrusive thoughts. It comes as intrusive thoughts. You're just sitting there, and here you have all these intrusive thoughts. Now, Nigerians, especially we, we're Christians, and not ashamed to say it, will say it is well. No, it is not well. It is not well. We need to talk about this so it can be well. We soak a lot of things in, women especially, in the name of, I want to keep my marriage. In the name of, I don't want to appear to be, even men do too.
Yeah,
men do too. Soak a lot of things in, soak it, and then before you know it, they start, paying attention more to their children. Anyway, that one is for a little talk show. That's marriage. That's for a little talk show. So so postpartum depression is very, very. Postpartum depression is very, very, very. It's not, like you said, don't trivialize it.
Yeah,
it's not.
It should not be. It's actually an illness.
And it starts as intrusive thoughts, and people often ask me, even with my patients, I'll tell them, what intrusive, because these intrusive thoughts, I have it. I get intrusive thoughts.
Who doesn't?
You're sitting down, and all of a sudden the devil just whispers. Because everything, I believe everything that is bad, it comes from the devil. Regardless, mental illness, because all that is from the devil. Intrusive thoughts. Why don't you just, I'm carrying my baby, why don't you just sit her right here and see if she will drop down? But some of us, to the glory of God, we have the grace to be like, oh wow, really? Or just all these thoughts. Oh, maybe your husband and they are not home. All of a sudden you are thinking, hey, did I have an accident? We don't go through that. Those are intrusive thoughts. How do you get rid of those intrusive thoughts before they manifest? Because those intrusive thoughts is what manifested to this woman drowning her babies. Those intrusive thoughts that manifest. So we have to learn how to control our intrusive thoughts.
Thank you so much, Yinka. So Blessed 20 said, Most mothers have to do almost everything on their own without any support system. So it contributes to PPD, which is postpartum depression. And I know Yinka mentioned something about you getting a support system, a strong support system. Because there are some things you cannot go it alone. That's just the truth. You really cannot go through some things alone. Thank you so much for that contribution, Blessed. And someone's Ebuka 1679 said it is well. All right. Thank you, IK, for joining. Hi and hello to you too. Hello, Bemaj. Thank you for joining. Thank you all so much. So moving on, I'd like us to talk about depression itself. How can you get to a place where you say, I'm depressed and I need to end it all? I don't know. Of course, you know, like you said, we all have different strengths. We all have different ability and different capability. The things that might break you might not break me.
Yes.
The things that will break me might not break you.
Yes.
But then how do you get to a place where you just feel like there's no hope anymore? I just cannot help this thing. I'm so depressed that I just want to take my life.
So, to understand your question, I guess we're getting into like the symptoms, right?
Yes.
Or the risk factors.
As in, what causes it? What causes that kind of depression that you'll be so depressed that you just want to end it all?
Well, I mean, when you get into suicide ideation, I mean, anything can push you to that. Obviously, there are no coping skills, or maybe you have and you've exhausted and you've tried everything that you can. Like someone said, no support system. Women do everything alone, so women have to rise up now and start learning how to maneuver things without doing everything all alone, you know. And there are ways of how you go about doing things, you know. It's not about what you do, is how you do it. And it's not what you say, is how you say it. So women need to rise up and start learning how to do things. Now let's talk about the signs, you know, to know if you are truly depressed or if you're going through some sort of depression or experiencing depression, if you will. Because you might be experiencing it and not be diagnosed with it. That makes sense.
Yeah, most of the time, I don't think we go for mental health diagnosis. Most of the time, and I think that's a major issue. We just think it's normal. I'm stressed. Oh, I need to sleep. And so we really never get to a place where they say this is actually what is wrong with you.
What is wrong with you? And the conception, the mistake that people make, even we as therapists, we have therapists that we talk to.
Yeah.
You're supposed to.
Yeah.
Just like the way you have a doctor, you have you might not see your PCP all the time. But at least women, we see our OB.
OBGYN.
We see our OB at least once a year for your pap smear, right? We do. So why don't you get a therapist? It's the same cost. It's the same with your insurance or however in the different parts of the world. It's the same thing. That is a support system on its own that you talk to. So something happened, and this is someone that is a professional. There is no crossing boundaries, so you don't have to worry about this person bringing it back to the church, anything like that. So maybe you and your husband, or you and your children, or you and your mother-in-law, father-in-law, or even you and your own mom. You had issues last night, you know, and maybe next week it's time for you to see your therapist. You talk about it to your therapist. You guys work through the issue together. You don't sit at home and trying to figure out how you can handle this person. No, you cannot. Especially like mother-in-laws. How can you really think you can handle? You think you're just coming from somewhere and just want to handle someone, you know, it's like a little grass that's trying to cut down a big tree. Are you serious? You know, there are different ways of handling things. You know, but when you see yourself moody, your mood is it's up and down, or even sometimes like a flat affect. Some people have this flat affect mood, and when we say flat affect, is like they're not smiling, they're just like
they're just indifferent.
Indifference. Just their mood is just flat. It's flat affect. You know, if you're moody, if your mood is up and down, like mania, if you will, or if you're manic, you know, you don't want to talk to anyone, you sleep little, or you sleep too much. There are different symptoms and signs, honestly, that you can, or you start talking to yourself more. You start getting agitated over things that you normally don't get agitated over. Maybe all of a sudden now you're getting thoughts of drinking and smoking, or maybe you are an occasional drinker. Occasional drinker would be people who just toast and drink occasionally, but all of a sudden, you know, now you want to drink more, and those are some of the things that you don't normally do. you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so those are one of the signs to look out for.
Yeah.
When you're not happy, nothing makes you smile.
Mhm.
You're just like they said, someone is coming. Someone is not coming. Go here. Do that. Everything. As in, there is no desire to do more.
To do
No
more.
desire to go out. No desire to talk.
Mhm.
Then those are part of the signs you need to look out for.
Even
And-
unable to perform the normal tasks
Tasks.
that you normally do. All of a sudden you find yourself unable to do it. All of a
Yeah,
sudden
just
you're all
tired.
over the place. You're
Yeah.
scatterbrained.
Mhm.
You know, you're all over the place. You are here, you are there, like someone who is on drugs, you know. And sometimes, you know, you start having just the thoughts to harm yourself or the thought to even harm someone else. And it could be in words.
Yeah.
To harm someone else, like
Yeah.
in words. You're ready
Yeah.
to blast them. You're ready. Check yourself and calm down. Like, okay, what's wrong? What's going on? My moods are changing. My moods are
What's
like
going
raging
on? Yeah.
up
Why
and
am I
down.
all over the place?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yelling at people.
I remember there was a time I had to like pull myself back in because then everything just makes me angry. I
Yes.
just get angry at everything. Like
Yes.
as in I was just so angry, and then I had to talk to myself and ask myself, why are you
You're
angry?
hungry. Unable to
Why are
explain
you?
it.
Yes, why are you getting angry? You don't. You're just angry for no reason. You see someone and you're just angry. So I had to
Just
like
angry.
talk to myself. I had to pull myself back because then I realized I was like going into a deep end. Because then I don't want to be with people. I'd rather just come and go into my room and just like watch a movie or attend classes and and that was it. But then I had to start asking myself, why are you angry? Why are you angry? And then gradually I started, coming out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. So Ebuka said Nigerian economy and security crisis is enough to get one depressed. Anyways, yes, it is. Thank you so much, Petit Abimbola, for joining. Thank you, Bukola Ureofe. Thank you, Dollarize Me. Thank you all, JMK's Air. I need to get an air from you. We need to finish that transaction. Thank you all so much. And before we go on, I remember one of our fans sent me a message during the week saying I just put to bed. So Esther Queen is one of our consistent follower on Instagram. She's always there. When she doesn't see us, she's like, what's going on? No show today. So I just want to say congratulations to Esther Queen on the birth of your baby girl. We'll celebrate you. All right, so moving on. We'll talk, can these mental issues, are they preventable? Can you prevent them? Let's take depression, for example. Can you stop yourself from getting into a ditch that you're not able to pull yourself out from?
So mental health, I tell people all the time, think of you, your eyes are closed, right? And you're walking, and you're just walking, but there's a big ditch right there. You can't prevent yourself from falling in, right? If you're gonna fall, you're gonna fall.
Yeah.
However, you can prevent, for you to reduce the incident,
Yeah.
okay?
You can manage it.
From falling in there, okay? The prevalence and the reoccurrence of things. So to come back, if you depression, how can you prevent it? There is no sure way to prevent mental illness. There is no sure way. If it comes, it comes. So let's talk about PTSD.
Yeah.
Let's talk about PTSD.
Yeah.
So a girl is there and she's been molested and she's been raped, or a woman is being raped, or people who went to the war. They can't help it. It comes in. Why? Why do we diagnose them as having post-traumatic stress disorder? It's because they start reliving this whatever that's the experience of what happened. They start reliving it, so they can't help it. There is no way of them preventing it. However, like I said, you can reduce the incidence. You can try to reduce the incidence. How do you do that? Talk to your therapist. Take your medication. If you are on medication, take it. If you're doing spiritual, I mean, I'm equally a Christian counselor, so I don't want to sit here and talk about medication all day, or talk about the secular, because I know there's a big war there. Even in us in the therapist field, there's a big war with the secular and the Christian. So if you're a deep Christian or a Muslim or you have religious, talk to your, we have Christian counselors all over the place if that's who you want to talk to, but just have those are strong support system. Have someone to talk to.
Don't just put everything inside. Just say I can handle it.
or
I'm fine.
Yes,
I'm okay.
And it's not only Nigerians.
Yeah.
Even African Americans here. It's a black thing. It's a black thing. We don't actualize ourselves with mental illness. We don't think for lack of a better word to use. Oh, are you a shrink? That's the first. Are you a shrink?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not a shrink. Yeah. So and I think Asian country, they're like that too. Asians, they don't really identify with mental illness because they have different ways and different patterns to deal with things. And, you know, so far you are dealing with it. Those are coping skills, and it does not manifest into manic. That's fine. Like I always tell them, that is fine. If you are a Buddha and you want to practice Buddhism, and you know, that's fine.
What's that thing
And
that
it
they
helps
do?
you.
Yoga.
Yeah,
Like,
yes.
you know, yoga, they said.
Yeah, whatever it is
Yeah.
that, you know, just don't suck it all in and being in your four-wall corner of your room and dealing with the situation.
All by
No.
yourself.
So no, there are no sure ways to prevent mental illness, but when it does come, you know, you can reduce. It's up to you to try to reduce the incidence. I have a lot of patients who don't take their medication.
But
They're
then,
not-
like you said, we just said we don't go, like Africans, we don't go to get diagnosed, we don't go to check. And so how would you actually be placed on this medication if you don't go for a diagnosis?
Diagnosis. If you don't go and say, hey, this is what's wrong with me, I don't know why I'm upset or angry all the
I'm
time.
just
At
angry
least
all the time.
At least you were able to
identify,
identify
yeah.
your triggers.
Yeah.
You're able to know, okay, this is what's triggering me, and or maybe that you don't even know what's triggering, but you're able to identify.
Yeah, I was
and
actually
say, hey,
finally able to put my hands on it, and I had to distance myself a bit.
aha! So you
Just
found
to,
that
like,
you
yes.
found your trigger,
Yes.
but at least you were able to. You were able to know what was going on. What's going on? I'm always upset. Why am I always upset? Why am I angry?
Angry.
Not even upset.
Yeah.
Angry.
Yeah.
Why am I angry? A lot of people wouldn't even look at that. Lots of people would not even wouldn't even recognize that.
Yeah.
If you can't recognize that, then you cannot identify your triggers. Period.
And you can't get
Just
help.
and you cannot get help.
Yeah.
It's not all about medication. It's not. There are you know, in the beginning stage, if you start working at it and talking about it, and I'm not talking about the mental illness that is prone from genetic. Like schizophrenic, or you know, not that when you're hearing voices or something that is induced from gene, like a bloodline. I'm talking of something that is stress related,
Society related.
society, environmental
induced.
You know, that's what I'm talking about. That you can, and even the ones who are genetic, obviously, they would be diagnosed, you know,
Very long, like
from teenage years,
Yeah.
you know, or whatnot. Because we try not to diagnose, you know, children and all, but you know, if you haven't gotten your diagnosis since you were a child or whatnot, then it's environmental stressor or factors, risk factors that you can most certainly and definitely try to, you know, reduce the incidents that surrounds it, you know.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Yinka. Thank you, Checkers Fabric. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Oloko Bukola, for joining in. Thank you, Official Valley 819. Thank you all so much for joining in. I think I recognized Dollarize Me initially. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate the time and the effort. So so generally speaking, let's just talk about how to actually be mindful of your mental health. How are you supposed to be cognizant of the fact that something is about to happen, something is wrong? Like I did in my own case, I was able to like ask myself, why are you just angry? Why are you getting angry unnecessarily? So how do you do that? How do you get to that place where you just like take care of your mental health?
Of your mental health. Or yes, you, like you said, you are able to identify, you know, the stressors, or able to identify. First, you have to be able to identify yourself and not be in denial.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us, we're in denial. That is not me. We're pointing fingers. Is this person made me to do this? Again, that's communication. That's going to be another talk show for that one, how to communicate. You know, this person will point fingers. No, you were able to point finger to yourself.
Yeah.
Why am I
Getting
angry?
yeah.
Not, I came in, she did this and she made me angry. There's a difference. Why am I angry? What's going on? Why am I upset? Why am I triggered at every little thing? So yes, you cannot be in denial. We have to be able to look at ourselves and judge ourselves first. Okay, what's going on? This is not me. At least you know yourself from when you were in school. You know yourself from 2 years ago. You know yourself 3 months ago. You know, you see the difference. The best thing for you to do is for you to try and realize and pinpoint to figure out, okay, this is what's wrong, or maybe you might not know what is wrong, but this is what is going on. I probably need to talk to someone or try to reflect and think back. And I know some of us, we've gone so far, so deep, we are unable to reflect. You can't even reflect on anything.
Yeah.
So you're just sitting there. But if you're watching now, if you're watching the show and you've gone so far, try and think back. And if you cannot, please look for a licensed therapist, that you can talk to. I know Nigerians have a lot of coach, and
and they have a lot of online support. You see a lot of motivational speakers online in Nigeria, even though they are not licensed.
Yeah.
But at least I know there are a lot of groups you can just get in touch with to just talk. Because the truth of the matter is pouring out your heart and your mind actually helps. To just talk, to just say, okay, this is the way I'm feeling, or this is it, as in to just let it out.
Yeah.
So so that's one of the things I know. I know here in the United States of America we have a lot of therapists that you can go talk to. You can go talk to Yinka, the licensed therapist. So, but back home in Nigeria, you have a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that will not share your story on social media as well.
Oh, yeah.
So just take all the help you can get. Reach out for all the help you can get. Like Yinka said, nobody is an island. You cannot go it alone. You cannot go through it alone. So finally, let's talk about if we should be worried. If all the signs that we've talked about, maybe someone is listening and someone is like, oh, I've been exhibiting this sign, I've been going through this. Should they be worried?
Yes, they should be worried, and the reason why they should be worried is for them to try to seek help.
Yeah,
so if you're going through that, the best thing for you to try and make an appointment with your doctor, your primary care doctor first. It's okay. You don't have a therapist. I just said it in the beginning that we are supposed to have a therapist that you see. It can be once a month. It doesn't have to be every week unless your situation is just gone so far. But it's just once a month, someone you just go talk to, to just go pour your mind to. But if you don't have that, talk to your doctor first and let your doctor know this is what I've been experiencing, this is what's going on, I'm having all these thoughts. I don't know where all these thoughts are coming from. Constantly I'm thinking, oh, what if this person have an accident, or what if this person is dead, or what if this person died, and things like that, and all of a sudden maybe you don't have the coping skills, you don't have what it takes to be able to bring the thoughts down. When I have those little, I don't want to call them crazy thoughts. When I have those intrusive thoughts, crazy intrusive thoughts, and I would just say, hey, my Bible says casting down all imaginations. All imaginations is part of thoughts. I cast you down, and I subject you onto the, on that cross, on that feet of Christ. That is me. That is how I do. I'm not saying you should do it that way, because if we understand our Bible very well, you would know that all imagination has to do with intrusive thoughts, and I cast you down. And immediately I say that, it goes away. So even me that I'm talking to you, I sometimes have this
thoughts.
intrusive
I do.
thoughts.
Especially when you work in the medical field and you see someone that is your age that is coming in with one diagnosis, and then you're thinking and you're asking yourself, what are you? How are you better off than this person?
Yeah.
What if you have? Yes.
You start charging yourself like it could be tomorrow, it could be this, it could be that. No, it's not going to be me. I'm going to be here and I'm going to help this person. This person's going to go through it. Those are some of the things that I say to myself, and those are some of the things that we should, say to ourselves. But however, at this point, seek advice. Go talk to your medical doctor first, your PCP. Talk to your doctor first, and then your doctor can do a referral. You don't even, if you're here in America, you have insurance.
They can refer you to a therapist.
Depending on the insurance you have, you don't necessarily need a referral. Some insurance you might need a referral, and most you don't anymore. And you can just go talk to your therapist, a licensed therapist, like a psychologist. And the reason why I keep saying licensed is because it's okay to talk to. Coaches are fine. They're perfect. They're good. But when we talk about ethical boundaries, a licensed therapist has gone through a school of ethical boundaries. They've gone through a school of ethics. They know the do's and the don'ts.
Share your story on social media.
Exactly. That is the difference. That's how I would say, they come to you in a professional manner. You go to them in their office. You talk to them. It's there. You've come and you let it out. Unfortunately, what do we used to call ourselves? What do we call ourselves in this industry? We are we're the trash people. We take people's trash. We take the trash and bring it in. But the most important thing, the passion about it is we're able to walk through
It's with
With
your
people.
patient.
You walk through it together. You might not be able to work through it yourself. You were able to. You had a grace. You're able to
Oh
identify.
yeah, and I have a very strong support system. Even at times
See?
I just bottle it in up. I just bottle it in and I just keep it inside. But because of the kind of family that I
Yeah.
have,
They
like,
know.
what's
They
going
see
on?
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's wrong? What's going on?
Yeah.
And they won't just let me be. So I just have to like
Start talking.
start talking
See?
and to get out of it.
And you
So,
can imagine people
Yeah.
who don't.
yeah.
You can imagine people who don't. You're living in the same house and they don't even. They're not being wicked. They're not doing it on purpose. They
They're just facing
don't.
their own life.
They don't recognize that someone, unless if you, the only time they recognize someone is if you are on the floor bleeding.
Yeah.
You should have to get to that point.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a good, strong support system, like our sister here, please, you have to be your own support system. You have to be your person who understand, who identify your triggers, who identify that something is going on.
Well, they're talking about triggers because Blessed just said, what do you do when the person that gets you angry all the time lives in the same house with you?
That's a marriage talk.
Yes.
I'm sure that's a husband. I'm sure that's a husband, but no, there are different ways of how we handle, those type of issues. We all handle it differently. It works for a lot. What works for me might not work for you. But now you've identified that your trigger lives in the same house. It might not even be your husband, I'm just joking. It might not even be your husband. It might be your sister, or it might be your friend. Now you understand, like I tell people all the time, and I ask God all the time to give me the grace to understand people's personality. Once I understand people's personality and their ways of life, it helps me and allow me to give excuses for them, make excuses, and I show them mercy. But however, we're not talking about someone that is abusing you. No, we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
Now you have to weigh it. Everything in life is about weighing. You sit down, you reflect. You think about it. Okay, so this is a positive things about this person. This is the negative. Okay, so what's triggering this situation? Why is this person acting? Were they acting like this when I met them several years ago? What is gone? Is it somebody I can talk to? Is it someone that we can actually communicate? Together or not. So if your trigger lives in the same house with you, your trigger actually if you can sit your trigger there and say, hey,
Have a conversation.
this, there. But if it's not, then I would still suggest for you to go see your PCP, and your licensed therapist will be able to walk through with you and tell you the ways that you'll be able to go about this without advising you. That's what's the difference. Coaches, they try to advise. We don't advise. We learned that. You learned that in school. We work through it together. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, so I want you to do it this way. No, we don't do that. We work through it together. You have it in you. You know what to do. You live with this person. You know what you can do. And definitely, I will also ask you, so what do you think we can do now? And I'll have you to work it out. You bring the solution out yourself. That is what the difference that I see. With coaches try to advise. I want you to do it this way. It's not this way because this way.
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. So therapists don't advise; they walk through it with you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Yinka. So Ike said pouring out your mind to someone is useful. Yes, that's true. And Ebuka said, what of people that can't afford a therapist?
Okay. People who can afford a therapist, yes, you don't have the insurance and you can't afford one, I would suggest thank God for social media. Even though I said social media is not responsible, but thank God for social media. There are people who do pro bono. I have done a whole lot of pro bono work, even via phone and things like that. It's just that we have to be mindful because of our license, when you crossing boundaries of interstate. But of course, there are people out there who are doing pro bono, and I have encouraged, and I remember there was a time when I used to visit Nigeria a lot with my nonprofit. Then that's before I got married and had children. And I remember I was in Abeokuta. I was working with Dr. Shoyinka then, and I would come from here, and I did a lot of work in Akwa Ibom as well, and we were trying to do some sort of rally. And I'm talking about Dr. Shoyinka, the doctor. He was the commissioner for health in the Ogun States then. And I remember I was trying to put together, like a rally for people to help. And I remember I have a first cousin. He's actually in Saudi Arabia now. He's a medical doctor. And, my husband as well. And I told both of them, do you guys do free work at all? You guys are medical doctors. Come on, let's start once a month. Pull nurses together once a month. And I try to, tell Nigerian professions, or Nigerian professionals, if you will, at least 1 month, give back to the
Give back
community.
to the society.
Give back to the community one day a month, one day a month, or if you can afford 2 days a month, give back. And when it comes to therapy, I know we're busy. We're so, especially if you're involved in ministry work, we're very, very busy. But there are people, just talk to people. There are people out there who will give free work, and they might not be your continuous therapists that you talk to because it's a free thing that they're giving for you or to you, if you will. But I know there are different organizations. Venture into those organizations, WHO, all those free non-profit organizations. They have therapists there.
Okay.
Oh yes, they have therapists that you can.
Okay, yeah. So, and the good thing is with Google, you can actually get a lot of these things. You can just Google it and see like a group or a foundation and all that. So, Ebuka, that's for you. You can actually Google it
and Zoom is, not Zoom, pandemic. I don't want to give no praise to pandemic, but the pandemic made everything so easy. So now you can do it on Zoom. Things that we might not be able to cross the bridge and cross the boundary to do, now we can do it via
because
Zoom.
of technology.
Because of the pandemic now, the therapist, you can even get your therapist all over the world.
Ebuka
Doctors Without Borders.
No free work here.
Doctors Without Borders. Check out Doctors Without Borders. WHO. We'll probably list it later.
Okay.
A lot of all these nonprofits.
Yes. So we'll put that out later for you to people that you can talk to that are non-profit organization. All right. Thank you so much, Yinka. So we've learned a lot today. So I'll just want you to give us your final thoughts about all we've said today. We have 7 minutes left.
7 minutes left. So final thoughts. If you are experiencing or think you are experiencing any of this, any challenges that is not you, obviously something is different. Sick medical profession. If that is what you want to, your doctor, or if you want to go spiritual about it, talk to your pastor. If you're free and you're okay, talk to your pastor, your women's leader, your youth pastor, whoever that you know that will keep it with you, or I would just start out with talking to your doctor. Because you don't cross boundary, because they're licensed and they know better. You won't cross boundaries. So when you start to having all these moods, swings, and you don't want to play with people, or you don't want to talk to people, in 1 minute you are like so high, and the next minute you are so low. You start.
You're not consistent in your emotions
anymore, and even though you used to be. But we're not talking about maybe something doesn't go your way. Like for instance, I'm a happily bubbly person, and when something doesn't go my way, no matter how I try to hide it, people see it. Yinka was wrong, and I'm like nothing. They're like, no, you can't hide it. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about a consistent pattern, of low effect. That's what we're talking about. When you start to see that you're yelling at your kids, or you're
being irrational.
Averagely,
things that won't upset you is just upsetting you, and at times you're screaming, at times you're shouting, at times you can't find it in you to laugh. Like just smile over the little things that averagely make you smile. And
you start to respond back to intrusive thoughts.
Yes.
It's manifesting all these thoughts that are coming to you. Even the thoughts of go shopping. And there's no money to go shopping. And then when you go and you come back, you're back in a financial, strain. And then now it's going to cause a fight maybe between you and your husband, or even with your own account. With yourself, with your debtors.
I can say what of persons who are scared to talk out?
Who are scared
of speaking out.
So that's another thing that you have to work within yourself. Why are you scared to talk out and to speak out? You have to find it in yourself. You have to tell yourself, I'm ready to work this thing out. I'm not scared. No one, this is me, this is my story, and I'm ready to talk about it. So when you start to get to the point of you being afraid and you don't want to say things out, then you have to be selective of people you talk to. Again, be selective of people you talk to. You always have to let things out and don't bottle it in. Because
just find a way to let it out.
Because when we do, it's a defense. That's a defense mechanism. When you bottle things in, we call it suppress. When you suppress it, it's right here at the bottom of your, it's right here at the bottom of your shoes. You're walking around with it. You're just walking. You think you're okay. You're walking around with it. And the moment someone slightly says something, it comes right. You snap and it just comes right down. So. Finding you to find someone, at least one person you can trust, that you can let go and trust and talk to that person.
All right. Thank you so much, Yinka. Thank you all so much. And I want to appreciate everybody for your contribution. And it's been an enlightening episode, an enlightening talk.
Yes.
with Yinka about mental health. I have some things that I need to be looking out for too as well. So nobody will come and tell you we don't get bothered, or we don't get stressed, or we don't get scared, or we don't have all these negative thoughts from the devil, like Yinka said. We all do. It's just our strength and our ability to pull ourselves through it that we need to work on. So thank you so much, Yinka. And you all know we always speak, we always do giveaways on the show for those that contributed during the show. And I noticed two people who are constantly contributing. One is Blessed20, and the other one is between Ebuka and IK. I really don't know who to pick, but maybe we'll just do 3 winners for today. So it's Ebuka, IK, and Blessed20.
Yay.
So 3 of you are winners on today's episode. Thank you all so much for participating and for tuning in and joining us today. You all made it interesting because we'll just be talking to ourselves,
right?
You know, if they don't come. So thank you all so much. So
about mine.
Yes. So Yinka needs to give us a bit of info about our foundation. So you can go ahead, Yinka.
So like what you said earlier, I started a nonprofit organization like so many years ago, and it's Children of Hope Global Alliance. And you can find it out if you type in CHIGAF, Children of Hope Global Alliance, to take you to our website. So I work with lots of youths. Back then, I was dealing with children in Akwa Ibom. I was responding to the child witchcraft back in 2006-ish.
Okay.
I was responding back to that's how I started actually, the child witchcraft. And I was like, these people need education, psychological education, and things like that. And now, I work with a lot of at-risk youths, and I work with a lot of girls. I actually started a Facebook support group, and it's called Habitation of Hope. And it's only for girls 13 to 26, where you come and you just talk. You just talk about everything, you whatever it is. We ask questions and you just talk. Because I noticed that Facebook, we have women group, we have this group, but we don't really have youth group.
Okay.
A lot of youth groups. So it's called Habitation of Hope. If you are between that age, or you know girls that are between that age who has been through that, who experiencing
going through puberty, going through the changes in their body, but they don't know who to talk to about it or how to open up about it. Habitation of Hope.
Habitation of Hope.
It's a recommended place for them to go through. All right, thank you so much, Yinka. And you're welcome, IK. You're welcome, Blessed20 and Ebuka. Thank you all once again this month for today on this episode. So next week we'll be going on a break as well. Next week, I think the next time will come your way should be the 2nd week of July. I'm not sure, but I think that's what we have now. But next week, it's not as if we won't be online. We'll be online, but we'll be having viewpoints. Like some of you know, Viewpoints is a place where we have men, not just women. You don't talk to Odu, it's just women. We just talk to women. But Viewpoints is the one where we have a panel that tries to talk about, issues that are controversial. So that's what we do on Viewpoints. And next week we'll be having a youth episode. Actually, we have children that they gave birth to, Nigerian children that lives here. The struggles they go through with the African parents cannot be overstated. So we'll be bringing them next week to come tell us their struggles. Like, the sign language that we all are used to, when your parents is looking at you somehow and you get the message and they don't get it, they're like, there's something in your eyes. And
Mom, let me get that out of your eye.
There's something in your eyes, or you're trying to use your leg to tell them something and they ask you, is your leg scratching you? Or you have, so those are part of what will come up on Viewpoint next week. We have wonderful of my nieces. They are outspoken and bold and confident, so they're going to be on a show next week with Stephanie to anchor it. And so look forward to that and plan to join us next week. So until the next time when I come your way, I really, it's been a struggle for me this year. So Real Talk with Odu most likely won't be coming your way every weekend because I need to take care of my mental health. You all know that, right? All right. So we'll see you when we see you, I guess. But it shouldn't be that long, though. I think it's the 2nd week of July. I'll have to check the calendar and put something out to that effect. So thank you so much. Sign language, yes. Ebuka says sign language. They don't understand sign language, yo. We are the ones that understand sign language. They'll be like, what are you doing? I don't understand.
Mom, what are you saying? What are you trying to say?
Yes. So they will be coming over next week. They will be on Viewpoints next week. So plan for that and look forward to that. I'm looking forward to it because I know I'm going to laugh.
Yes.
I'm going to laugh a lot.
I'm laughing already.
I'm going to laugh a lot. Yeah. So thank you all once again. And my name is still Odun Akirele. I'm still your friend. I'm still your woman. And I think I should just say, if you need to talk, you can actually reach out on me. You can send a DM. You can send an email. If you really need to talk to someone, man or woman, whoever you are, you can reach out to us. We can actually rub minds. I don't know you. Most of my fans, I don't know them. Most of the followers of Real Talk, I don't know them. Like all they say, Buka, blessed, I really don't know you, but we all are family on Real Talk. We are Real Talk family. Yeah. So you can reach out to me and talk if you want to talk. Because over time, I have come to understand the importance of speaking out. Mm-hmm. I used to be this person that bottle up my emotions, that keep my feelings into myself. But health-wise, it wasn't healthy for me. Mm-hmm. So this is just to tell you, you can reach out and you can, if you reach out to me, I can get Yinka, who is a therapist, to like give you, you know, a medical advice or tell you in her own way how she thinks you can be helped. Okay? So catch you guys whenever we come back soon. Hopefully, we hope it's soon enough. And I'm still your friend, I'm still your sister, I'm still someone else's daughter, and I'm still your fellow woman, Odun Akirele. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
This was good.
Are we off?